Hello, and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn a great phrasal verb, so let's get started. Today we're learning this phrasal verb, spring for. Spring, use the long E sound like green beans. Spring, spring for. Let's look at the verb forms. Spring in the present, in the past sprung, and the participle is sprung. So spring for, in the past sprung for, and the participle is sprung for, the same. And what does it mean? It means to pay for something, or to spend money on something. Example, he has an old coat, but he doesn't want to spend the money on a new coat, but he needs to. He needs to spring for a new coat. Pronunciation, spring for. For is not stressed, so you pronounce it fur, spring for. He needs to spring for a new coat. This coat is old. He needs to buy a new one. He needs to spend the money and buy a new one. Let's hear some examples.
Right. But whoa, listen, have the girls put out a press release saying that we're gonna even spring for the gas for the helicopters.
There's no way my old man was gonna spring for the fees.
I was just saying I'd be very happy to spring for it if you want to take a couple of lessons. I think it would really...
I hate to burst your bubble, but you don't inspire me to spring for a dinner over at Bucky's Fondue Hut.
I'd be happy to spring for some new jeans or t-shirts or whatever you need.
Yeah, but we'll spring for refreshments.
My department would never spring for it, so forget it.
I will spring for the radios, if you all like to use them.
Let's practice. He has an old coat, and he doesn't want to spend the money on a new coat, but he needs to. He needs to spring for a new coat. Does he need to spring for a new coat? That's right, he needs to spring for a new coat. He needs to spend the money. He needs to buy a new coat. Example, she's at the bakery with her friends, and she wants to buy dessert. So she's going to pay for it. She's going to spring for dessert. Let's practice. Is she going to spring for dessert? That's right, she's going to spring for dessert. She's going to pay for it. So now let's look at the past. The past is sprung for. He sprung for a new coat. He finally went to the store and he sprung for a new coat. He finally spent the money and bought a new coat. Let's hear some examples of the past sprung for.
You sprung for the undercarriage wash?
I know you were a little ambivalent about the test, but I am glad that we sprung for it because it really is an amazing new tool.
Looks to me like you sprung for the whole 9 yards.
Let's practice. Did he finally spring for a new coat? That's right, he finally sprung for a new coat. Pronunciation, use the short like cup and up. Sprung for. He finally sprung for a new coat. Now what if I say should have? Then we need the participle. He should have sprung for a new coat. Should have, make a contraction, should have. This contraction can be pronounced two different ways, should have or shoulda. Because you have a consonant after, you can pronounce it two ways. So I can say, he should have sprung for a new coat, or he should have sprung for a new coat. Let's hear some examples.
I'm sorry. Maybe we should have sprung for an updated edition, huh?
You think I should have sprung for the country club?
I should have sprung for the 40-footer.
I think I should have sprung for the country club?
Probably should have sprung for Captain Terry's hair sealer.
Example. He wore this old coat for a whole year because he didn't want to spend the money on a new coat. Well, he should have sprung for a new coat. That's what he should have done. Let's practice. Should he have sprung for a new coat? That's right, he should have sprung for a new coat. This one's old. He wore it for a whole year because he didn't want to spend the money on a new coat. So remember the phrasal verb. In the present, spring for. In the past, sprung for. And the participle is sprung for. But if you hear it in a sentence, we won't say for, we'll say fur because it's not stressed. Spring for, sprung for, and sprung for. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.